Now, Israel has advised its citizens to remain close to bomb shelters, and the U.S. Embassy said it will be closed from
today. That's crazy.
Today.
She said, my grandpa died, but honestly, she said, my grandma died, but fuck it, YOLO. Israel has to keep blowing up Iran. My appetite for more death and destruction. My appetite for death and destruction is unlimited. The only way you make this calculation is because you know deep down inside that you have the bomb shelters and you have the anti-air defense systems, and that those missiles will not reach you. If Israeli society broadly started feeling if Israeli society felt fear that they might actually suffer repercussions, that calculation would change, and that calculation for the Israeli government would change as well. This is part of what I mean when I talk about like the retaliatory strikes. The retaliatory strikes from Iran. If the retaliation from Iran was met the standard that Israel's retaliation and first strikes looked like inside of Iran, then Israeli society broadly would have a different attitude about all of this back and forth. They wouldn't be as like invested in unlimited bloodshed.
About whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so. And I was telling them, you gotta do something. You gotta negotiate. And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that, and they got hit. Remember 60 days, and then came the 60. 61 is going to become a very famous number. That was one hell of a hit. That first hit, that was one hell of a hit. Not sustainable, to be honest. That's where it ended. It ended on the first night. Yes.
Is it too late, though? Do you think it's too late to now?
Really, nothing's too late. The only thing too late is Powell. Powell's too late. Too late, Powell.
Have the Iranians reached out to you, Mr. President?
What?
Have the Iranians reached out to you?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said it's very late.
What?
I said it's very late.
Okay. So it's too late to apologize. It's too late to do a deal, but also they should do a deal. But also I might strike them. But also I might not strike them. Who knows? President Trump has summoned reporters to the Oval Office, and the purpose is currently unclear.
To be talking. We may meet.
By the way, the backdrop of this, of course, is the two big, beautiful poles. He's putting up two flags, best poles that you've ever seen, best in the business, rust-free, and also the line that goes up to the flag is actually built inside of the pole as opposed to being outside of the pole, and therefore it can brave the elements. Okay, a huge announcement coming from Donald Trump on the Juventus?
What do you think? Think a woman could make the team? General managers, what do you think?
Trump accepts French ambassador during diplomatic ceremony at the White House.
You do have, right? But they should be playing with women, right? It's one of those things. One of those things. See, they're very diplomatic.
As you're making your decision on Iran, obviously there's been a change from when you were pursuing a diplomatic negotiation.
Yeah.
Now you seem very open to the idea of potentially taking U.S. action. Obviously you're not going to tell us that. Can you walk us through what contributed to that change, how you got to where you are in making your decision now?
Well, I think it started the first night. I mean, that first night was devastating. And it really knocked the one side off, as you know. It was a devastating evening, day. And it's pretty much proceeded that way. I have a meeting in the war room in a little while, situation room, as some people call it. So we're going to meet. We're going to see. We're in the midst of it. It's a terrible thing. I hate to see it. I hate to see all that death, so much death and destruction. But death primarily is what I hate to see.
Does that mean you haven't made a decision yet on what to do?
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, you know, because things change. I mean, especially with war, things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other. War is very bad. There was no reason for this to be a war.
Very
there was
bad.
no reason
War
for
is
Russia,
very
Ukraine.
bad. Things can change.
A lot of wars there was no reason for. You know? You look right up there, I don't know, see the Declaration of Independence, and I say, I wonder if the Civil War, it always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without losing 600,000 plus people. So a lot of, it's very sad to see. It's very sad to see what's happening. But with that being said, I would say right now, Israel, from the standpoint of winning a war, is doing pretty well. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in your meeting today with the Chief of Staff of the Pakistani Army, did you talk about Iran? Did that come up? Is there anything you can share from that meeting?
Yeah. Well, they know Iran very well, better than most. And they're not happy about anything. It's not that they're bad with Israel. They know them both, actually, but they probably, maybe they know Iran better. But they see what's going on, and he agreed with me. The reason I had him here, I wanted to thank him for not going into the war, just ending the war. And I want to thank, as you know, Prime Minister Modi just left, just a little while ago, just left. And we're working a trade deal with India. We're working a trade deal with Pakistan. And they were both here. But I was with Modi a few weeks ago. He was here, actually. But now we speak to him. And I'm so happy. There was a deal that two smart people, plus, they have people on their staff too, but two very smart people decided not to keep going with that war. That could have been a nuclear war. Those are two nuclear powers, big ones, big nuclear powers, and they decided not. So I was honored to meet him today.
And if I can, on FIFA, sir, and for anyone who may want to answer, how has the travel bans from certain countries affected fans maybe coming in for the games, or is that not a consideration?
Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's not a concern for us. For the games now in the Club World Cup, everything has been done in a very smooth way. We have an excellent collaboration, of course, with the president, but with the task force in particular. For next year, the World Cup, we have one more year to work, and the learnings that we have this year with the Club World Cup, which is historic, I say this to all the Americans, because it's the first ever Club World Cup, and it's played in the United States of America. So the learning.
These guys are so funny. This is so FIFA, by the way. FIFA, I feel like at this point, only conducts its global events in countries that are dictatorships, okay? It's always a country that wants to engage in sports washing because they're doing untold amounts of unprecedented violence and also engaging in autocracy and just destroying their domestic population. It is fucking hilarious. FIFA at this point will never, ever go to a country that is doing all right, okay, by international standards. It's oh, do you have slavery going on? That seems it looks like, it literally feels like they have a list of check marks. And if you hit two of those check marks, FIFA's we'll come and do our events in your country. It's hilarious. Yeah, Turkmenistan. Up next. It is so fucking stupid. It is so goddamn stupid. Russia, Qatar, USA, Saudi Arabia. It's I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know how this is going to be conducted, because the thing is Trump is actively squashing any sort of tourism capabilities that the United States has by, one, redirecting ICE agents that would normally, or CBP agents that would normally be processing people expeditiously when they're coming into the country. So there's massive lines, and it's annoying. 2, they're fucking erroneously stopping and detaining people and then sending them back to their countries at the point of entry for no reason other than the fact that they just want to be like bullies. So that actually has diminished tourism and people coming into the country for fun, right? Like, who the fuck's going to attend this? We have arrested and detained actual fucking athletes in the country. Who is supposed to come here? Who is supposed to come here? How is this supposed to work? We got travel bans. We're deporting athletes. And Trump is just over here being like, yep, it's going to be great. We're going to do a great job. Juventus, they're saying.
You know, nobody's able to.
I don't know how to say it.
stealth.
Some people
You guys
say
wanna be
Juventus.
stealthy
I say
tonight.
Juventus.
Stealthy.
I don't really know how to say it.
But these are incredible planes and weapons. We have the best weapons in the world, by far. Nobody close. And we're I mean,
Very
certain countries
scary
take advantage
foreign
of it.
name.
Israel has incredible
Very
weapons.
scary foreign name. Don't know how to say
I have
it.
not-
Believe
I
it.
have not-
But I let these guys,
been
these
asked
are the
about
good
it.
ones. These are the
Everybody-
good ones that I let
I haven't
in.
made a decision.
These are the good ones that I let in. The rest of them, I got. Listen. You do a penalty kick against an American sports team, I'm arresting you.
He's been lobbying for the U.S. to get more involved.
You defeat one of our big, beautiful clubs, and let me tell you, you're not seeing daylight ever again. I'm just kidding. Or am I? Am I kidding? Who knows?
Agreement, but it was such a shame. They were so close. You know, Iran was very close to signing what would have been a very good agreement.
You defeat an American club, you're gonna see the inside of
They
Sikat,
do want to come
El
and see us. They want to see me in
Salvador.
the White House. That's a big statement, but it's very late.
Is it enough of a statement to hold off getting?
We're going to see what happens. Look, we're going to see what happens. Ending it as soon as you can would be good.
Have you closed the door on meeting with them?
No.
Okay, so it's still open to them coming here in your
Yeah,
eyes?
I mean, they asked if they could come, and we'll see if that happens. It's not that easy for them to come. They can't get out. You know, they're in Iran, and in one case, the guy wanted to come so badly, but he can't get out because there's bombs dropping all over the place.
Have you seen the Tucker Carlson, Senator Ted Cruz interview? It seems like this issue on whether or not the United States should strike is kind of dividing a lot of your supporters.
No, my supporters are for me. My supporters are America first. They make America great again. My supporters don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon.
So great.
Tucker's
Dude.
a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day.
What?
Because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. And Ted Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me. But nobody thinks it's okay. People that
What did
don't
he do
want-
to his
I don't
hair? He
wanna fight
dyed
either.
it,
I'm not looking to
clearly.
fight. But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe we won't have to fight. Don't forget, we haven't been fighting. We add a certain amount of genius to everything, but we haven't been fighting at all. Israel's done a very good job of that. But we'll see what happens. The bottom line is they can't have nuclear. And if I can't imagine that Ted Cruz said it's okay for Iran to have nuclear, including Tucker. I don't think Tucker says it's okay. The problem is then they get themselves into a thing. They don't want them to have nuclear, but then they say, well, we don't want to fight. Well, you're going to have to make a choice because it's possible that you're going to have to fight for them not to have nuclear. And it's interesting because I did ask Tucker, I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran? And he sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him. Therefore, you may have to fight, and maybe it'll end, and maybe it'll end very quickly. But there's no way that you can allow, whether you have to fight or not, you can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because the entire world will blow up. I'm not going to let that happen.
Mr. President, you had a bit of a row with President Emmanuel Macron of France the other day, the G7 it sounded like.
He's a nice guy. Look, he said I was going back home to make ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We're long beyond ceasefire. And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly. We'll take a little time.
Very bad term. Very bad term to use.
We're looking for a total.
We like more fire. Macron, he doesn't know about it, but we like more fire, no ceasing of the fire.
So I thought it was a very badly worded.
You're in the USA,
statement by
complaining
him,
in the USA and supporting Iran with all the freedom of expression in the world, while in Iran you can't even complain about Iran without being punished. Incredible, isn't it? That's capitalism for you. Literally has nothing to do with capitalism. Do you think Iran is socialist, you fucking moron? That's number one. Number two, of course I'm complaining that all of the fucking tax dollars that we pay directly goes to defending this belligerent, ethno-supremacist, psychotic, religious ethno-state that is blowing up children at a rapid clip. And then we, instead of fixing our fucking ISPs, instead of fixing our goddamn infrastructure, instead of fixing our fucking roads, instead of fixing our healthcare system, instead of fixing our fucking housing crisis, we're spending all of our money in weapons that we create to defend Israel. We send those weapons to Israel. Israel gets to have fucking social safety nets, and your dumb fuck ass turns around and goes, "Oh, America first." Like, don't you love America? You get to fucking be thankful that you get to at least criticize it, while simultaneously you're saying, I don't like your criticism. I don't like your criticism. Maybe you should shut the fuck up. Are you even an American? Because every single dumb fuck that says this is actually a LARPing Eurocuck who literally is a right-wing European cuckold who wishes that they were a MAGA American half the goddamn time. Are you even American? Because you don't sound like it. Get the fuck out of my country, bitch. You should be thankful that America's spending all of its fucking endless wealth and endless bounty in defense of a psychotic religious fundamentalist foreign state that is like blowing up children with our weapons, and then with our tax dollars going to defend the repercussions of blowing up children all over the fucking region. How ridiculous. There's nothing funnier, to me at least, than seeing a fucking European America LARPer, like a European America First LARPer, not recognizing that the America First policies, like blowing up global trade, is unironically harming European interests way harder than ever before. All of your fucking leadership is servile to American interests. They come here. They know that they're more intelligent than Donald Trump, but they still have to genuflect. They still have to fucking kiss the ring. And you just go, nah, that's actually based. Some of you have not actually evolved from the fucking serfdom mindset that you have. It's just that instead of a direct monarch, an inbred monarch that rules over you, now the inbred monarch is all the way here in America. Just as stupid, just as entitled, and you love that shit. You demand more of it. It's so stupid. Hasan, low-key dumb. Why do these guys never actually say what the problem is, instead of just simply saying, oh, this guy's just dumb, guys, don't listen to him. Tell me why. Trump is very unpopular in Europe, I know, except for the fact that all of European leadership still genuflects to his demands. His wishes are their commands. And not only that, but also I'm talking specifically about the right-wing Eurocucks who come in here and LARP as though they're like First Amendment auditors in America. At least you have some semblance of social safety nets in Europe. You should probably be actively defending them, you know? I'm not talking about the Europeans that obviously have understandable resentment towards Donald Trump for a multitude of different valid reasons. I'm talking about the dumb fucks who are right-wing and LARP as American hogs, even though they live in Europe. President Trump has summoned reporters to the Oval Office. We know why he did that. He wanted to flex. Okay. Getting back to this.
It's I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
President, you said we may meet. Trump said we may meet. Is this about Vance and Trump possibly going to talk?
It's about anybody. They even suggested they come to the White House. It's a big difference. But they've suggested that they come to the White House. That's, courageous, but, it's like not easy for them to do. But they suggest, because I can't go now because of what's going on. I had to come back early from the G7, which was terrific, by the way, in Canada. Really terrific, good people.
Is there a possibility of next week or sooner that
Well, I don't know how much longer it's going to go on. I mean, they're totally defenseless. They have no air defense whatsoever. We've totally captured, we've totally captured the air, Brian.
Yeah, Mr. President, you've been fairly compassionate towards the Iranian people's suggestions.
I know a lot of people from Iran, from New York, from Washington, mostly from New York. They're incredible people. They're smart. They're energetic. They can be difficult, but so can you. No, they're great people. They're smart people. And those people are getting the hell beat out of them now. And it's really a shame. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's another one, Russia, Ukraine is so stupid. Would have never happened if I was president. You guys agree with that, right? Would have never happened if I was president.
You're currently president and it's still happening. And we've seen how you've tried to quote unquote deal with it. Don't ask the fucking hard hat wearers behind you what their opinion on the matter is. It is irrelevant. We know, we can see with our eyes how you have dealt with this so far. This is Brandonization through and through, by the way. I'm not even kidding. He's going full Brandon. Iran officially denies they want a White House meeting. Here is Amichai Stein from I-24, contributor to Jerusalem Post, saying, exclusive, after Trump threats the Iranian message to the U.S. via mediators. Today, the Iranians conveyed a message to the Qataris who, together with the Omanis, tried to mediate for a ceasefire, saying, we are willing to talk in order to reach an agreement with the U.S., but Israel needs to calm things down, according to a source with knowledge who spoke with the Jerusalem Post. Iran said, the Iranian mission to the UN said, no Iranian official has ever asked to grovel at the gates of the White House. The only thing more despicable than his lies is a cowardly threat to take out Iran's supreme leader. Iran does not negotiate under duress, shall not accept peace under duress, and certainly not with a has-been warmonger clinging to relevance. Iran shall respond to any threat with a counter-threat and to any action with reciprocal measures. To what extent do you think the strikes on Iran coincided with the anti-Israel genocide sentiment reaching an all-time high? Seems like something Israel has wanted to do for ages. I don't think Israel Israel certainly keeps a close watch on Western attitudes, for sure, like the Israeli state does. Having said that, this is more so the last possible option, the last possible chance Israel had to strike Iran and to kickstart the final process of doing regime change in Iran. That's what I think. That's my assessment of the situation. Given internal conflict within the Knesset in Israel, and this was given how much the Iranian-backed axis of resistance against Israel and America in the region had diminished in their capabilities of offering repercussions to Israel. I think this was the best last chance that Israel had in terms of going to war directly with Iran and then bringing America into the fray. It's not necessarily because they were worried about the way that people are perceiving Israel's genocide in Gaza and the negative statements that European leaders are finally making about it. I don't think that is a part of the calculation, or it's not something that it's not something that would cause them. It's not enough alone for them to be motivated into springing into action.
President Putin would have never done it, and I spoke to him yesterday, and I said, he actually offered to help mediate. I said, do me a favor.
It's a tiny part of it.
Mediate your own. Let's mediate Russia first, okay? I said, Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. You can worry about this later. But I think that's going to work out too. But so many people have been killed. The big thing with that one is far more people are dead than have been reported in the Ukraine, Russia. Many, many more people. A building falls down, they say nobody was hurt. You know, it's like ridiculous.
Why should not deportation mean?
Unconditional surrender. Two very simple words. Very simple. Unconditional.
He's saying Ukraine is lying about their casualty reports, which is, again, could possibly be true, but also still crazy for him to just like actively undermine. He would never do this for Israel, okay? Remember, Ukraine is our proxy against Russia. Russia is the foreign adversary here. Russia also happens to be the party that is engaging in the wrongful act of invading a sovereign nation. Russia is the party that is engaging in irredentist action in this circumstance. And he literally will still find every opportunity to shit on our proxy instead of trying to find a reasonable solution. Whereas when it comes to Israel, no matter how much Israel does insane shit, he's always on board. He will always defend Israel. It's crazy.
Surrender. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the all the nuclear stuff that's all over the place there. No, they had bad intentions. You know, for 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like. They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore, but we'll see what happens. Look, nothing's finished until it's finished. You know, war is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen. A lot of turns are made. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that we won anything yet. I would say that we sure as hell made a lot of progress. And we'll see. The next week is going to be very big. Maybe less than a week. Maybe less. But is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile, very, zealots really, but to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy...
By the way, 24 hours ago, he said he wants to kill Khamenei, the Iranian leader. Like 24 hours ago, he's like, I can't believe they're bullies. They say death to America, death to Israel. It's fucked up. We got to bully them harder. It's like, bro, you literally spelled out that you're going to assassinate a foreign leader of a foreign adversary. What is that? Like,
destroy 25 miles, but much more than that. Could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust. You know, that dust blows to other nations and they get decimated. This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years. You know, if you go back and look at my history, if you go back 15 years, I was saying we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. I mean it more now than I ever meant it. Yeah.
What did we learn?
Well, is it possible he's being blackmailed by both Russia and Israel? No, dude. What? Donald Trump doesn't need to be blackmailed to be pro-Israel. He already is getting openly $100+ million from Miriam Adelson. That's it. He's also ideologically against Iran and ideologically pro-Israel, not to the same severity or the same degree as like Joe Biden was, but still. This is American foreign policy in perpetuity, part because of Orientalist framework and part because of our overarching interest in the region. You don't need blackmail to cause Donald Trump to behave this way.
The main thing that struck me was the way that the president was talking about Iran's reaction is polar opposite to what we have been hearing from Iran itself. Donald Trump saying that they are asking for negotiations, that Iran has...
Also, blackmail only works if you have the capacity to feel shame. Okay? Blackmail only works if you have the capacity to feel shame, or if you can even experience repercussions from your base if outed. Donald Trump could be outed as a pedophile and his base would be like, oh, actually, it's quite nice that he's going after the young ones. I promise you, there is nothing that his most loyal fan base will say is a bridge too far. It can diminish his support within his base, okay, for sure. But I promise you, I mean, half of his base of support The fucking psycho evangelicals are pedophiles themselves. How many? Every other week, there is another like Christian family group operative that is outed as a sex offender that is like trying to fuck children or jerking off in a school, jerking off outside of a kindergarten or whatever. Like, there are so many Republicans that are themselves openly pedophilic, defending child marriages on the principle. You know, it does not matter. You can't blackmail a person who is this shameless, who has this much of a cult backing him. Just like Hegseth, the DOD Secretary of Defense, was unblackmailable, even though we found out that he raped someone and is a massive alcoholic. And under normal circumstances, that's supposed to be, it's supposed to be over. You can't get any security clearance if you are that open to getting honeypotted or blackmailed. But it doesn't matter because people don't care. Okay, people don't give a shit. Blackmail only works if people care about the revelations. Look at Pete Hegseth. He is airtight, despite all of the understandable criticisms that were launched against him.
Asked to come to the White House, that they want to make a deal. Just an hour or two ago, we heard from the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and we certainly didn't hear any of that. Now, obviously, when he is speaking publicly, there is going to be...
I thought Trump has never drank a sip of alcohol in his life. No, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't drink, famously. I'm talking about Pete Hegseth.
Echoes rhetoric, but he was saying the exact opposite of what Donald Trump has said. He did say that there is no way that the Iranians would surrender. Also criticising the fact that Israel did this whilst he was talking to the...
We've actually got sound from that speech that the Iranian Supreme Leader made just moments ago. Have a listen.
Surrender to what? The Iranian nation cannot be surrendered. We have not been subjected to anyone, and we will not accept any kind of submission, and we will not submit to anyone's submission. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. This is the spirit of the Iranian nation.
Let's be very clear about this. I mean, earlier on today, overnight, in fact, US into regional time, Donald Trump had demanded the complete surrender of the Iranian regime in a post on Truth Social, the way, in 2025, it seems, diplomacy is conducted. What did you make of those comments that we've just heard there from the Supreme Leader? As, frankly, the world watches and waits for the US president's next moves in this conflict?
Well, I think Iran has been trying to, if you wish, reduce the scale of this conflict by targeting just Israel for now, not targeting the US, obviously being very aggressive when it comes to the rhetoric against the US, but for better or worse, being cautious about escalating this and broadening up the conflict. So I think there is concern from the Iranian side about the US being involved and the US targeting the Iranian side and potentially damaging even more, causing more damage. But I think even that is not enough for Iran to come to an unconditional surrender the way that Donald Trump has been asking. And I think that it's very unlikely that the Iranian side has actually reached out to the US. They have been stating that they are okay with negotiation, but not until Israel stops striking. And that resonates really with how Iranians have been operating and are likely to operate in the coming days and weeks.
What did you make of what we just heard from the US president there on the lawn?
Well, the messaging is very confusing. I think yesterday with the posting on X, it seemed almost that the operation...
Iran is too prideful to surrender. It is not about pride. Please don't bring in silly notions here. Okay? Like Israel, when I say Israel's bloodthirsty and is like doing all of this child murder, okay, that's not the primary directive. That's not the primary motivation of Israel. Israel's primary motivation is land grabs and destabilization of all of the adversaries in the region in an effort to create complete domination over the region. Okay? Iranians are a proud people for sure, but that's not the primary motivation for why Khamenei is retaliating against the Israeli strikes. The primary reason is to create an environment of restraint for Israel through repercussions. It is for survival. It's ridiculous to be like, oh, they're proud, that's why they won't back down. It's like, that's crazy. If anything, they're actually not proud enough. Look at the tremendous amount of red lines that Iran allowed Israel to rip through. Okay? Israel ripped through every pre-established red line because Iran did not create a deterrence measure against Israel. They basically tested it out over and over again. The Hassan Nasrallah assassination should have been the final blow. And even before then, they struck Iranian territory, Iranian soil, technically with the embassy compound in Damascus. They did not actually respond or retaliate in kind. They killed they killed Ismail Haniyeh, the principal negotiator of Hamas, that Israel was literally negotiating with in air quotes, in Tehran. They did not respond in kind. They have shown far too much restraint. They've shown far too much restraint that Israel has seen as basically a green light to do whatever the fuck they want. And that is precisely the reason why they have kept violating the red lines that Iran had set. Because if you don't actually follow through on security commitments, then you have no red lines at all. Then you might as well just say you can bully us all day, every day. You can kill as many people as you want. All day, every day. Ironically, I would even categorize their lack of interest in pursuing a nuclear weapon to be a major flaw as well.
Was happening last night or tonight. We know that the U.S. Embassy in Israel has been closed until Friday. So it seemed like the time frame resonated with what we have seen in terms of the movement, the deployment of naval capability, air capability in the region, the statements issued on X, and it seemed something was going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. What you said about the next week is going to be big seems to kind of confirm that trend. But at the same time, you know, they kind of muddling through and saying, I may do it, I may not doing, and the sustainability also about the type of strikes that were conducted on the first day makes me think that he might have not decided, and there might be other forces that are trying to still dissuade him from doing that.
It is. I mean, you know, let's be quite clear about this and very transparent about this. It is very difficult to read what Donald Trump means. I mean, how much of, you know, what he's saying is part of his negotiation. What we do know is that there is a battle of narratives out there. When I talk about a battle of narratives, that is what we are witnessing at present as we wait to see and watch to see what happens next with the US. That battle of narratives, of course, includes Israel. You had some reporting just earlier on in the
4 female Iranian political prisoners currently in notorious Evin prison issue a letter condemning the Israeli attacks on Iran, emphasizing that democratic change can only be achieved through social struggle. Yeah, I mean, that's the other side of this story as well, is that if the goal is destabilization of the Iranian leadership and the destruction of the Islamic Republic, then bombing Iran is perhaps the worst possible thing you can do. Because when you bomb Iran,